Hello, welcome to the NABS Podcast. My name is Todd. I am the CEO of NABS and I am the guest host for this episode. They have finally let me loose. I have been given the mic. So it might be my first and last hosting of the NABS Podcast. Let's see how we go. In all seriousness, I have been handed the reins for a very special reason. Today in this episode marks the firing of the starting gun for this year's Yay list, which for those of you who don't know what that is, this is our second year in partnership with Campaign, publishing an annual public thank you to all NABS donors who've supported us throughout 2026 and therefore enabled us to help thousands of your colleagues, friends, workers, people you know from across the industry. We were delighted in 2025 that when we published this list for the first time, we were able to show the 100 plus organisations in all their glory who supported us last year. And we are hoping by December of 2026, that number will be even greater for this year. Because the truth is that being the industry's charity, we do rely entirely on the generosity and donations of you, our listeners, the organisations in our sector, and many, many people within the industry who advocate, cheerlead, and ensure that the right financial support is given to the industry charity. My own experience of 30 plus years in this industry has been that the most inspiring thing about our industry is the warmth and generosity of the people. And I think that's really reflected in NABS and the fact that there is literally an army out there of leaders, but sometimes not leaders, sometimes people much earlier in their career who are championing and making sure we get the right level of financial support to sustain and help anyone in our industry who feels that they're stuck for whatever reason. And just to keep the military reference and metaphor going a little bit longer, I am absolutely delighted today that on this podcast, to celebrate the launch of the 2026 Yay list, I am joined with two captains, no generals of our industry, I would say, who have, in all honesty, over the years, in various guises, been huge supporters of our industry broadly and NABS specifically. So we have with us today Simon Daglish, or Dags, as everybody knows him, the Deputy Managing Director of Commercial Sales at ITV. For the last 10 years, he has been transforming and leading the ITV commercial offer, which has led to record-breaking revenue achievements and many, many awards and recognitions across the sector. Dags is also a leader in the charity space. He is a past chair of NABS, was a trustee for many, many years, and also the founder of Walking with the Wounded. So a huge advocate, a huge cheerleader. Delighted to call him a friend and colleague. And welcome to the NABS Podcast, Dags.
Thank you, Sue. I don't recognise any of that, but it's very kind of you to say it.
This is the positive bit. And with him, we are also delighted to have Vicky Radcliffe, who is the Chief Investment Officer at PhD. She's been over 20 years in various media roles, really at the cutting edge of trying to balance performance, partnership, and people, and often doing all three at the same time in her delightful and charming way. She is a really true people champion, and she believes that the media industry is at its very best when people feel connected, supported, and empowered. She's also a huge champion of NABS, a huge supporter, and I'm delighted to have her here as another one of the generals in the NABS army. But welcome, Vicky.
Thank you so much, Sue, and thank you for having me on my first ever podcast.
Oh, I love that.
No, this is brand new to me, so I'm excited.
Fantastic. Vic, let's start with you. What's going on in your world? How are you feeling?
Slightly better than yesterday. I was at home yesterday with the kids stressing me out, and I don't actually work Mondays, but I had the day off ferrying them round to various air hops, to Wagamamas, to all sorts. And do you know what? I couldn't wait to get back in the office today.
Yeah.
I was like, I can focus on work. I can just be myself without having to worry about what they're going to eat next. So actually today has been non-stop though, packed, but it's good to see our office packed and it's good to be here.
Yeah, lovely to have you. Thank you. The summer juggle, fun as it is. Dags, how are you doing?
I'm wondering what's for supper, Vic?
I'm not thinking about it. Not my job today.
Fair enough. So I know that both of you know lots about NABS, and I've spent lots of time with both of you the last few years, which I've been very grateful for. I think we're at a particular moment in time as an industry where there is, we always say this, but it feels maybe more than usual. We are in a, bit of a change process that feels pretty large, and, everywhere in various parts of the industry, there's a lot going on. So how is all this change and the transformation, exciting as it is in many ways, affecting people on the ground? What's your sense of how people are coping? Dags, let's kick off with you.
Look, it is a really good question because I suspect lots of people feel differently. So to try and categorize the whole industry in a single phrase or term is going to be quite difficult. I think of those. I think on one side, everybody's really excited. I mean, AI is the word and or the thing of the moment, and everybody's really excited about that. On the other side, they're very concerned because of the potential effect it could have on the roles within the industry. And then I think there's a third side, and I don't say this just a sample of one was, but what the hell is it going to do? What
Mm,
no one really knows, and so I think there's an uncertainty from a job specific point of view, but there's also uncertainty because we don't know actually how it's going to manifest itself and how it's going to change industry. And I think, I mean, you hear superlatives the whole time. Oh, it's going to revolutionize, going to do this, that, and the other. And generally, what people say is well ahead of when it actually happens.
Yeah,
See what I mean? But I get a feeling that this might not be the case, and I think the next 18 months will be revolutionary for everybody in one sense or another. So I think people are positive. Look, the sun is shining, the birds are singing, the flags are flying. It's a beautiful day in Adland, and generally they're pretty good. But I do think there's a little bit of concern out there,
yeah.
which is understandable. I have it personally myself. I don't know what the future holds, and um, we'll have to wait and see, really, and think.
Yeah. And I think that mixed bag that you've described perfectly, both in terms of how different people feel, but also how you can feel as an individual on a different day, is a perfect representation of the sort of roller coaster that seems to surround us all. I think that's how lots and lots of people feel. That one day's fear and excitement can be another day's almost panic, and then some days just, well, it's out of my hands, out of my control. I'm just going to crack on. So I think that mixed bag is part of what's difficult to a certain extent because as somebody told me many years ago, your body reacts the same way whether you're fearful or excited. Your body's doing the same thing. The cortisol's going, the adrenaline's going. It's only your brain that interprets whether you should be scared or excited. And there's such a truth in that in terms of how I personally feel as well. So thanks for sharing that. It's very insightful. Vic, what about you?
yeah, I think very similar to what Dags was saying. Like, we have worked in the industry for a long time now, and we've always said things are changing. It has every year we have been like, "Oh, there's going to be so much. It's such a fast-paced industry. We're always talking about change, and whether it's a new platform, new tech, new ways of working that's going to transform everything. It does seem like we're getting to a point now where it is with AI and everything, the transformation, we are going to see a lot of difference. But I think when you're talking about the people on the ground, I have set this sort of change in sense of security and confidence of just being, are we building people for the right skills? Are people going to have jobs in 18 months, in 5 years? And also talking to sort of my peers and sort of the people same age group as me, we're worrying about our children now. Like, will they have jobs when they're older? So there's a lot of concern. I don't think that the pace of change has always been there, and I think it will continue. But now I think the confidence is changing slightly with people, just making sure they've got the right skills and they are going to have jobs in the future. And, we're just trying to all navigate that. And they just need the reassurance and somewhere to turn to when things are feeling overwhelming and it's just much more personable side. We need to protect and make sure people are set for the future.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, and help them navigate that sense of uncertainty because we're not going to get the answers, are we? It's
No,
not like in a couple of
absolutely.
weeks' time all will become clear. It's an ongoing situation, and I think if you can learn that skill of how to live well when things around you feel more out of control or less certain, then you thrive, don't you, as opposed to struggle. So NABS, as you both know very well, is here to help people with work related challenges, but we're also about, life stuff because, we don't step away from work and become a different person. And also some of the concerns you've just raised are things about our kids and futures and whether you're to university. And then there's just all the normal life stuff that affects everyone every day, from grief and caring responsibilities to stress and anxiety to health concerns. So we're here for all of it, as you know. And what's your kind of advice right now for whether, on a tough day or a tough week or a tough month? Because let's be honest, if you get yourself into a space where you're a little bit stuck, it can last longer than a day. What's your advice, whether it's a life thing or a work thing, for how people to get themselves unstuck and potentially move forward positively when things feel a bit grim or tough? Yeah.
When I was a lot younger, I thought I had to do everything by myself. Right, you thought the resilience, stiff upper lip, don't share your problems. It wasn't sort of one of those things that we want to talk about. You saw that as a bit of a failure. But yeah, I came to realize very quickly that you can't carry it yourself. I mean, it's just too much to do. And actually, talk to people. I always thought, the older I've got, the more I've realized that is complete nonsense, that you can't carry it by yourself. And every difficult period I've sort of had in my career, it's been easier because I've built a really good network around me and I've trusted them enough to talk to, honestly. I mean, sometimes it was a manager, sometimes a colleague, sometimes a friend. But it's one of those moments where you just want to talk through with someone. This industry is amazing for people, and you can build such a trusted network. I think quite easily. We have a lot of events that happen in the industry, and you can build that trusted network. So it's open up, talk to people, focus on the stuff that you can do in front of you rather than the bigger picture stuff for the time being. But it's just sort of when those things are tough, it's easy to become overwhelmed. So just try and find someone to trust that you can talk to.
Very insightful. You find yourself, the older you get, realizing cliches and sayings were all right, don't you? You take a breath, problem shared, problem halved, and all that. And I think we've got different understanding of the why those things work now, from insights into neuroscience and understanding of breathing techniques and meditation and all the things that I think we all know more about now. But the honest truth is some of those things have been true forever. And I totally hear you on our industry and the sharing point, because one of my first lessons about NABS when I went on one of our workshops, was essentially the penny drop for me was when I saw 12 people in a Confidence in Gravitas workshop start to open up about, where they were from and what they were struggling with and why they'd signed up for the workshop. And pretty much to a man and woman, hearing each other, someone from, a big media owner, someone from a network group, someone who was freelance, someone who's an independent, all open up and share. You could visibly see that 50% of the work was done by just hearing that other people also felt like they did, and that you're not alone here, and there's ways of getting help. So I hear you completely. Thanks for sharing that, Vic. Dags, what's your advice from your own experience? What's made the biggest difference when it's been tougher?
Um, well, look, I guess I haven't always adopted this attitude, but I've learned it throughout my life to date that sometimes we look at problems and follow me on this. If you're feeling bad, follow me on this. Don't say, it's all right for him. But I would suggest that adversity is not necessarily a bad thing. Because what adversity does is it challenges you and it puts you in a position where you have to adopt, adapt, change, maneuver, whatever it is. Your personality, what you do, how you do it, how you achieve things. And that gives you two things. First of all, you will overcome whatever adversity is in front of you. You just will, because you are strong and you are human. And when you do, you learn more and you become more resilient, more effective, and happier. And you can always look back on sort of difficult times and say, God, I got over that. And I think that gives you a sense of self-confidence, of self-worth, because you've achieved something. People's achievements can be great or small. It's up to them how they feel about them. But I do think that sometimes we approach things with, gosh, that's a problem. What am I going to do? Oh my God, it's a problem. Oh my God, it's a problem. If you approach a problem and say, well, actually, I'm going to use this to learn, to grow, to become stronger, and I'm going to get through the other side. and I will be better for it at the other end, then generally you will do. Someone once said to me, happiness is not the absence of problems, it's the ability to deal with them.
Yeah.
And once you learn that ability, then actually problems become opportunities. It's a trite proposition. I'm much older than most people in the industry. I'm 60 now, and I've seen it so many times that people have faced adversity, got over it, and come out better. And I think that's going to happen to all of us at some point in our career. A great deal of adversity, but all of us will get over it, and you will be better for it. And I kind of try to take that positive attitude into everything. And as I say, if you're feeling down and a bit, cheesed off, and life isn't going your way, that's a very difficult thing to hear, but it is the truth. So bear with it.
Mm, I totally hear you. It's sometimes a difficult thing to believe when you're younger, or maybe you haven't yet faced too much adversity, but once you have, and once you are able to frame it that way and look back, there's no question that you can see how it's changed you, and like you say, given you more confidence that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and it's genuinely true, isn't it? You get some form of inner strength from realizing that you're more capable than sometimes you believe you are when you're feeling a bit crappy. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, one of the things that I know you know about NABS as well, and one of the things that the Yay list is designed to shine a light on, let's say, is to advocate and to demonstrate how much we believe in the power of community, which most people who've been in this industry for more than 2 minutes understand about this sector, and understand that celebrating that there are people here to listen to you, to hear you, to support you, to give you advice, to share things with you, is a massive part of what makes, I think, this industry incredibly special. So how does Adland, in your experience, as two people who've been part of the A list last year, our first time ever, how does it help lift you up? What does it do for you, being as a business part of the A list, but also on an individual level, being part of this great community?
Yeah, I've been part of a great community for a very long time. Look, when you're growing up in the industry, it's still the case now. The media business course, which I think is one of the great courses out there, you see it. I mean, I remember doing it some 30 odd years ago, probably longer than that, 35 years ago. And some of the friends that are on that course are still my friends now.
Yeah.
And the wonderful thing about this industry, it is a collaborative industry. It's a very human industry. It's got great people in it, and they will be your friends, and you will share similar experiences, which you can talk about for years and years and years and laugh about, probably. So I think that's really, really good. The A list is just the coming together of that friendship in a kind of more formal setting. Everybody who's on the Yay list, if you look down it, I'd know most of the individuals on there. I've come across them, and I regard them all, if not good colleagues, then good friends. So I think it is a sign of how strong the community is and how it comes together and supports each other. NABS is the conduit for that, but within that, there's a sort of invisible spider's web of threads that connect all of us and make us stronger together. So that's kind of how I see it.
I totally agree with that. NAB sort of sits over the top or under the bottom, and there's lots of the ally organisations that we work with have their own ways of also providing community that are incredibly important, from advertising, Wacol to Bloom, and then more sector specific things. For us, the most important thing about it is to say thank you to those businesses, because nobody tells you when you join or you become a manager or you're in charge of a business that you have to support NABS. We come around asking you to, but the reality is it's a choice that a business and people and management teams within a business make, and it's one that we're incredibly grateful for, and I think is a massive indication of the types of people that run the businesses in our industry, like you say, who I also consider to be, many of them, friends. Vic, you've been a supporter of us in a number of ways. PhD help us out with our donations. They make a huge difference to our bottom line funding. And you've also, on a personal level, lent in quite heavily, which we really appreciate. What's your sense of what being part of the A list means?
Well, firstly, I love the name, so well done on that. Excellent around that. Do you know what? It's one of those things that brings everyone together, because we compete against other agencies. The broadcasters compete against it. every platform compete against everyone. And then actually the A list brings together everyone, it brings down the barriers, and then it celebrates. So, right, when it, even when you go to any NABS events or anything, it's not about competition, who's doing the best. It's actually just sharing that combined kindness, contribution, generosity. We're showing up for all the people that work in the industry. It's just one of those really nice things that we should absolutely do more of. But actually, when you launched the A list last year, it's just bringing it to the forefront and recognizing and showcasing all the great work that everyone does for NABS and for their people. So I'm here for it.
We know you are. We know you are. And you're here for this podcast, your first one too.
Yeah, but I have to say also on the NABS lot, I've never met such nice people that all work within one place. It's that you do have the best people and the most loveliest. And I know the guys at PhD love working with you all.
I'd just like to reiterate that. Funny enough, I won't say it is, because I'll embarrass him, but I took somebody to a NABS dinner the other day who wasn't very close to them. And he said to me afterwards, they are such nice people. He was really touched.
Oh,
Uh,
good.
and, they really are. So you have a fantastic team.
Well, I mean, we're here for the rest of you guys, and you guys are here to support us. Thank you. So, in terms of the future, I mean, none of us can see it. None of us know what it is. Do you have a sense of the importance as business leaders who've worked in this industry a long time, but also built friendships and got lots of positive relationships in the industry, about what it means to pass things on I mean, I'm not a big fan of the word legacy, but I am a fan of saying there's a spirit in this industry that some of us feel is important to protect. So part of the Yale list is about celebrating the people who also feel like that, because that generosity to help others and that sense of there being a safety net. Is it important that we make sure the next generation also see that there's a certain spirit in NABS and a certain spirit in this industry that people like you and others are champions of? Is that part of what we should be doing? And I mean, I sense it is, but I'd be really interested in how you feel about that.
I do think if everyone plays that part, that bit of leaving it in slightly a better place than when you found it. So it is obviously some difficult times ahead within the industry. And that has always been the case, to be honest. It was more prevalent now than before. But I do think it is everyone's job, especially as leaders, that you do make it a better place for the people that are coming up behind you. You never know what's going to happen. You want to be able to support them. You want to make them better. So it's, even when someone's having a difficult time within the industry, we want them to stay in the industry. We want them to build a successful career and then go on to support someone else. We've got to make sure we pass that culture on and make sure that that ripple effect continues, a good ripple effect continues. And it is our jobs to do that.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think people see that like that? Does you have a sense that other managers and leaders and businesses feel like that as well?
I think generally, as Vic said earlier on, look, the industry is full of good people. Of course, there's some people who get on better with others, and vice versa. So, because that is the, if you like, the diversity, the variety of the people that work in our industry. But the spirit remains really, really strong. And the spirit is basically one of a collegiate, collaborative bunch of people who are connected by humanity, and just being thoroughly decent people. And as I say, you're going to get on better with somebody else than another person, and that's fine. But generally, I think everybody in this industry is a pretty good egg, to use an old phrase. And I would also say that NABS is kind of a reflection of the spirit of the industry. So the reason NABS is so successful and has been around for such a long time is because it actually is not just the moral compass, but the sort of focal point for everything that's good in our industry, and that helping hand when you need it. And that listening ear and that sympathetic tone of voice. And I think NABS does that really well. But I think that's endemic throughout the industry. I mean, there are obviously moments when that sympathetic voice is quite hard to hear, but
Yeah.
that beneath it there is goodness, and I think that's That's not a legacy I hand down or you hand down. That's just something that's been in the industry, since I've been there, and will continue for many, many years. I'm absolutely sure of that.
Very positive. I like the fact that there's a sense in our industry that even when it's hard and even when on a collective or individual level, people are really struggling, there is a sense of get help, there's help for you. And at its most fundamental level, you're right, NABS is the charity that represents that. But there are many, many people and places that have helped me out over the years. And some of those people are connected to NABS and some of those people aren't. NABS is almost like the representation of that. I completely agree with you, Doug. On a more kind of light-hearted note, do we have a positive story about NABS that you've personally experienced? What's your most sort of positive memory of being in this community, part of what NABS represents? Is there a story that you can share that's appropriate for a podcast? Some of my stories are probably not for sharing, but maybe yours are. Vic?
It's more of a confession, I think.
Okay.
A little bit of a story. But we're going back quite a while now. So when I first joined the media industry, over 20 years ago, very different world then. I mean, I think the lunches were bigger, the parties were bigger, events were bigger. And I have to say, NABS Big Bash is always a great memory. But as a young person, sort of seeing it all, it's incredibly glamorous and lavish. It was great times. But I remember going to, I think it might have probably been the NABS Big Bash back then. And it was very early in my career, and someone was telling me about NABS, and I was kind of really naive and thinking, like, why do people in media need a charity? This is just ridiculous amount of lavish that is going on in places, like numerous parties, etc. And looking back, I do cringe that now. But I mentioned this to a man called Adrian Pike, and I think he's just celebrated his 50 years just now. But this was going back 20 odd years ago. And he just simply said to me, you'd be amazed how many people need NABS. You don't realize it. And you know what? That conversation has stayed with me ever since. And what Adrian said, which I didn't back then, being new to it, is that you never know really what's going on in someone's life. Behind the careers, the businesses, people we struggle with, mental health, financial pressures, family difficulties, grief, redundancy. There's a whole lot of things that we don't know what's going on in people's lives. And you know what? NABS has been helping, quietly those people through those moments for decades. And so I sort of wanted to use this as like an apology and sort of a confession to say that, do you know what? You have taught me so much. NABS is just there for everyone in the industry. And, 25 years ago, I hadn't realized, essentially. And now I think that's probably why I'm so keen to help and do everything we can for NABS, is because I had that sort of ignorance, I guess, when I first started out in the industry.
Yeah. Oh, you're forgiven, Vic. You're absolutely forgiven.
Thank you.
Yeah, my favourite moment, Sue, was hiring you.
Oh,
And but you did say we're not allowed to make personal comments, so I won't on that front. But generally, great job that you've done. Funny enough, when Vic's comment is very similar to mine. So 12 years ago, or I can't remember, maybe even longer, maybe 14 years ago, Tess Out, for those who remember,
Yep.
lovely lady, used to be head of Thinkbox and run PhD at one point. But she was resigning her trusteeship at NABS and came to see me. I just joined ITV at the time and said, look, ITV is a big donor. You need somebody from ITV to sit on the NABS board. And Dags, I'd like it to be you. Will you take over from me as a trustee? And I hadn't had anything to do with NABS. Well, I say anything to do, I've been to the Big Bash. And I sort of thought at the time, oh, bugger, this is going to be a pain. All right, I'll do it. And I went along, and I couldn't believe the great work that NABS did. Because as Vic rightly says, you don't know what's going on in people's lives. You don't, unless you're sitting in the middle of NABS, know how effective and how needed it is. Only then do you really understand the impact that NABS has on individuals, because NABS doesn't cater for everybody as one group. It caters largely for people as individuals. So you don't see its sort of mass effect. But I remember walking into the office and sitting down doing, I think I did sort of 2 or 3 days with NABS to learn learn the charity, if you like. And I was stunned. I was amazed. I was amazed by some of the phone calls. I was amazed by some of the things that you still do and did then. And, I've been a convert ever since. The real question that, again, Vix asked, why does advertising need a charity? It's advertising. All you do is go out for lunch, get drunk, and invent meerkats or whatever. But it really does, because everybody has a life outside this industry, and that is important to support. So
Yeah. I
that's
couldn't agree more. It's exactly my experience in NABS too. Been in the industry 30 years, knew it, been to the parties, until I kind of looked under the hood and became a part and moved over to, work with NABS more closely at NABS as it is. I had no idea. It really is. And I feel very privileged to have seen that and to have been able to play a tiny part in it now for the last couple of years. But, there's a lot of people and a lot of effort for a large number of years gone into ensuring that whatever happens to you in your life or work, if you are part of this industry, then there is a way to get help. However big that problem is, or however small that problem is that you're experiencing. And I know the tone of this podcast is very hopeful and cheerful and celebratory, because, I've been allowed on for the very reason of celebrating our donors and advocating for the A-list. But as any listener of the NABS podcast will know, where we get into the serious topics of doing the work, exactly what Vic and Dags have just described. And I've had the experience of listening to many, many, many people over the last 4 years share with me, sometimes confidentially and sometimes more publicly, their own stories about when 8 years ago, 12 years ago, 6 years ago, when they were struggling with something personal or work related, they reached out to NABS, and it was transformative for them. So, it makes me very emotional thinking about that and thinking that I'm lucky to be part of an industry and now a little bit part of NABS and supporting those thousands of people every year. So thank you both for sharing those stories. So just to close us off on this wonderful sunny day, not everybody in the industry will make the A-list. I mean, last year there were over 100 companies on there. And, part of what we're trying to do to secure NABS's future and make sure no one ever gets turned away and everyone gets help who comes is to make sure there's even more donors published on the A-list this December than there was last December. Have you anything you could say to encourage anyone out there, either as a business leader or an individual? Because some of what NABS does is have individuals take up the mantle and fundraise, run events, run bake sales, as well as corporations. Have you any parting words of advice for anyone who's thinking of getting more involved in NABS and maybe leaning in, who isn't currently?
Well, what I'd suggest, I don't know whether it's going to be very popular with you soon, but go and see the team, have a chat, see what they do, and you'll be inspired. And after that, then I think you'll want to go and help and raise money and be part of it. But go and see the team, just like I sort of reluctantly did, and was completely inspired and loved it.
Yeah.
And I think you will too.
You're in forever. Is that
Oh,
what you're
God.
telling me?
I think what Dags just said, because if you don't know about it or you're not sure in the services that you offer, go and learn about it and hear from you guys, because it is amazing and it is supporting the people that you work with or work in your teams. And they're at the best when they feel connected, supported, valued. And this is one way for your business to value those people. So that's why NABS matter, and that's why your people matter. So do get involved and go and see Sue Todd at NABS.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Actually, Vix, we know where they live. And if they
Yeah.
we're going to come and get them.
Yes.
You could have said and buy her lunch, for goodness sake.
And buy her lunch and white wine.
Thank you so much for finding the time to speak to us today. It's been a total honour to talk to you and an honour to guest host this podcast. Thank you to everyone out there who's already donated to NABS this year in any way, shape or form, individually or collectively as a business. I hope you've made the Yay list. We will reveal that Yay list in December of this year in partnership with Campaign. And thanks to everyone who has helped us throughout the years, help our people and make sure this is an industry that we still ensure everybody can thrive in. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. And thanks to our special guests, Vicky Radcliffe and Simon Daglish. Thank you.